Sorry in advance for the long post, but I need to get this off my chest before I completely lose my grip. My hands won't stop shaking, and I've rewritten this whole thing at least 4 times already. Landon and I have been together for 5 years, married for 3 of those. We didn't meet on a dating app or anything typical like that. Believe it or not, we got locked in the storage room of an art gallery when the electronic lock malfunctioned. Just the 2 of us, stuck for over 2 hours, sitting on the floor surrounded by bubble-wrapped sculptures and sharing his 1 protein bar. Maintenance took their sweet time getting to us, but honestly, it ended up being the most unforgettable meet-cute ever. We chatted about everything from Rembrandt paintings to the weird pets we had growing up. And when we were finally let out, he turned to me and said getting stuck there was the luckiest accident of his life, then asked for my number. Life with Landon, for the most part, has been good, at least that's what I thought. We bought a cozy little house 2 years back, made some solid friends, and just enjoyed building a life side by side. My birthday was last weekend. Landon always went out of his way to make my birthdays feel special. Last year, he whisked me away on a surprise weekend trip to Shenandoah. The year before that, he planned this amazing dinner with all our friends. But about 3 weeks ago, he told me there was this mandatory work retreat scheduled right over my birthday weekend, one he absolutely couldn't get out of. I felt let down, but I tried to be understanding. He seemed genuinely upset about the timing and kept ranting about how his boss was being a total jerk for planning it that weekend. He promised we'd make it up when he got back, maybe even take a little getaway together. I believed him. Completely. Like a fool. The night before he left, he handed me a small gift, just a pair of earrings, and apologized again for missing my birthday. He kissed me and told me he wished he didn't have to go. I watched him pack up all his business casual outfits and his laptop. He even threw in those cheesy team-building shirts companies always hand out. And I helped him pack. God, I feel so stupid. So, my birthday came and went. I spent the weekend by myself, ordered some DoorDash, binged a few seasons of that new show everyone's talking about, and FaceTimed my parents. They wished me happy birthday, and my mom asked if Landon had anything planned. I told her about his work thing. She looked surprised but didn't say much else. Now I understand why. On Monday, Landon came home with souvenirs, some fancy chocolates, and a small bottle of wine from the retreat resort. He talked about long meetings and silly team-building activities, looking a little worn out but happy to be back. Everything seemed totally normal. Then I got a text from Jasmine, of all people. We're not super close, more like casual acquaintances. So when she messaged, "Hey, call me when you're alone," I didn't think much of it. Figured maybe she just needed to talk or something awkward had come up. When I called, she was quiet at first. Then she asked, "Is Landon home?" I told her no. That's when she said, "Okay, I wasn't gonna say anything, but I saw something on Instagram, and I don't know if it means anything, but..." I recognized Amber. At first, I didn't get it. Recognized her where? She let out a sigh and explained, "One of my mutuals posted a story from a spa over the weekend. Just a chill little pool video. But I swear to God, Landon and your sister are in the background." She sent me the screen recording. And there they were. Landon. And Amber. My husband. And my own sister. Clear as day right there in the background. His arm draped around her. She's leaning into him like it's the most natural thing in the world. He's rubbing her back. They're laughing together. Smiling. Looking cozy. Looking content. Like they were a couple. And me? I was home. Alone. On my freaking birthday. Thinking he was stuck at some dumb work retreat. God, I felt like such a fool. I must have watched that 10-second clip 100 times. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. But there was no mistaking it. It was definitely them. No doubt in my mind. He was wearing that same ridiculous vest I helped him pack. And she? She was wearing the earrings I gave her. You couldn't make this stuff up if you tried. And all the while, they were living it up at a spa. Holding each other like nothing else mattered. Like I didn't even exist. I still don't know what stung more, the betrayal itself, or the fact that they didn't even try to keep it a secret. This wasn't a slip-up. It wasn't some one-time mistake. He just didn't care. And I would have never known. Not if some girl Jasmine barely knows hadn't posted a random pool story at exactly the wrong time for them. I went digging after that. Checked our joint account and found a $1,200 withdrawal made the Friday before the trip. Nothing labeled as travel or spa. Looked into his personal account too, the one I only access for emergencies, but it showed nothing out of the ordinary. Then it hit me. My birthday money. Every year, my grandma sends me $700 in cash for my birthday. I had tucked it away in my wallet, planning to deposit it later. But when I looked, it was gone. Feeling suspicious, I called the spa and pretended I needed a receipt for expense reporting. The woman on the line was super helpful. She looked up the reservation under Landon name, confirmed the dates, and told me it was for their romantic weekend package for two. The total cost? $1,950, paid with $700 in cash and $1,050 on a credit card. That's when it all clicked. The cash was my birthday money. And that $1,200 withdrawal? He must have used it to pay off the credit card after the trip. He stole my birthday money. Used it to take my own sister to a luxury spa. On my birthday weekend. I waited for him to get home. When he walked through the door, I showed him the videos Jasmine sent me. He went pale at first, then his face flushed red. The excuses started rolling in. He said Amber was going through something and just needed someone to talk to. That he was only being supportive. I didn't say a word. Just pulled up the spa reservation on my phone and held it out to him. Then I asked about my birthday money. And that was when everything shifted. It was like watching him turn into someone else. His whole expression changed, went cold. He admitted it. Said he took the money. Said everything. Told me he and Amber had been seeing each other for months. Then, as I was crying, he laughed and said I never deserved a gift anyway. That at least Amber knew how to keep a man satisfied. I walked away. Slammed the bedroom door behind me. I could hear him out in the living room after that, talking on the phone. Probably warning her that I knew. That was 3 days ago. I haven't spoken a single word to him since. He's tried, flipping between snapping at me and mumbling weak apologies. This morning, he left for work acting like everything was fine. Said goodbye, and when I didn't answer, he yanked his jacket off the hook like I'd somehow offended him. I haven't told my parents. Haven't confronted Amber. The only place I've said anything is here. On Reddit. Right now, it honestly feels like I'm stumbling through someone else's life. Like I've been dropped into a nightmare that doesn't belong to me. And the part one can't stop replaying in my head isn't even the cheating, it's the fact that he stole my birthday money to fund their little romantic getaway. Who does that? Who looks at the cash their wife got for her birthday and thinks, perfect, I'll use this to treat her sister to a spa weekend. The thought makes my hands shake all over again. I keep wanting to scream or throw something. Last night, around 3 a.m., I was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, and ended up Googling divorce attorneys. I've started gathering screenshots of everything, the bank statements, the resort confirmation, the photos, all of it. And GL, I have no clue what my next move is. Do I confront my sister? Do I call up my parents? Do I just dump all his crap on the front lawn and be done with it? I don't even know anymore. Sorry for the wall of text again. I think I just needed anyone to hear this. So if you've read this far, thank you. Seriously. Any advice would mean the world right now, especially if you've been through something like this before. First update. Hey, it's me again. Honestly, I didn't expect that first post to get much attention. I wrote it at 2 a.m., completely falling apart, crying, shaking, just needing to let it out somewhere. I figured a couple strangers might read it, say something like, that sucks, and that'd be it. I was planning to delete it in the morning. But the amount of support, the kindness, the advice, the people reminding me that I'm not crazy, it meant more than I can even explain. Anyway, it's been nearly 2 weeks since I found out my husband was sleeping with my sister, and it still doesn't feel real. I keep thinking I'll wake up and it'll be over. I said I'd update when I had more clarity on what I'm doing, so here we are. The first few days were a total haze. Landon and I existed in the same house, but barely acknowledged each other. He kept trying to have a talk, saying things like, "We need to sit down and discuss this," or "Can we please just talk?" But I couldn't even look him in the face. I didn't want to hear another lie. So I'd just walk away or put in my earbuds and pretend I couldn't hear him. I felt completely numb. Then, out of nowhere, Amber, my sister, texted me. Just this week, pathetic excuse of a message. "I'm sorry. It just happened." Seriously? It just happened? Like, what, did you trip and accidentally land in my husband's bed? This wasn't some one-time accident. You made a choice. Again and again. For months. You knew it was my birthday. You knew I was home alone. You knew. And that's all you have to say? I didn't even respond. Instead, I just forwarded the message to my mom with one line. "Ask Amber what this is about." I didn't have it in me to explain the whole thing, but I knew my mom would dig until she got the truth. And oh boy, did she. Less than an hour later, my phone blew up. Calls, texts, voicemails from both my parents. I let it sit for a while before I finally picked up. My mom was crying before I even said hello. She told me she had called Amber and Amber admitted everything. That it had been going on for a while. That feelings developed. I confirmed it all, told her about the photos, the resort, the stolen money, every painful detail. She went quiet for a bit, then asked if I wanted her to come over. I told her no. I needed some space to breathe. Then my dad called. And that one hit harder. He didn't say much. Just asked if I was safe. If I needed anything. His voice cracked halfway through, and that's when I completely broke down. I hadn't cried all day, but hearing my dad sound so heartbroken, that shattered me. A few hours later, our family group chat exploded. Amber finally told everyone. But instead of owning it, she tried to dress it up like some tragic, star-crossed love story. We didn't mean for it to happen. We tried to fight it. Marcus, my older brother, absolutely ripped into her. Called her selfish and delusional. My mom responded with like 6 shocked face emojis and nothing else. And my dad? He just said he was profoundly disappointed. I muted the group chat after that. I couldn't take the emotional ping-pong anymore. That's when I decided I needed to start getting my act together. I called a friend of mine who works at our bank and told her, lightly, that things at home were rocky and I needed to understand our finances better. She walked me through our accounts. And that's when I realized the spa weekend? That was just scratching the surface. Landon had been pulling shady moves for months. There were little withdrawals labeled groceries, but nothing new ever showed up in the fridge. There were work trips that didn't match his actual calendar. And then she found something worse. He had 3 credit cards I didn't even know existed, all in his name. On 2 of them, he'd added me as an authorized user, but here's the kicker. He told the bank not to issue physical cards for me. Set it up so all the statements and notifications went only to his email and address. I never saw a thing. No card. No bill. Nothing. But when my friend helped me dig into the records, everything came to light. Charges from restaurants I've never been to. Airbnb stays I knew nothing about. And a $300 necklace he bought 3 days before Amber's birthday. Seriously? So I confronted him the next morning. The moment I brought it up, he got defensive. Said I was too controlling with money. That he needed some freedom. Freedom, huh? Is that what romantic weekends with my sister are now, emergencies? Because that's what he claimed the credit cards were for. I snapped. I hurled his favorite mug, the Darth Vader one, straight at the wall. It shattered. And honestly, so did something inside me. He called me insane and stormed out. Since then, we've barely spoken. If he's not yelling, he's sulking. The very next day, I booked a consultation with a divorce attorney. She was calm, sharp, and incredibly kind. Told me what documents to start gathering, advised me not to leave the house just yet, and said to keep a record of what's joint property and what counts as personal. It was a lot, but at least it gave me something concrete to focus on. I also went to urgent care to get tested for STIs. Everything came back negative, thank God. But it was humiliating explaining why I needed the tests. And while all of that was happening, Landon switched tactics. Suddenly, I was getting flowers. Apologies. Let's go to therapy. We can fix this. When I didn't react, the act dropped. Then came the guilt trips. The passive-aggressive silence. Like it was my fault for not trying harder. Then came the final straw. There was a power outage at work, so I came home early and caught him on the phone in the kitchen. He didn't hear me come in. He was talking to Amber, saying, "Just give her space. I'm handling it. Once this blows over, we'll figure things out." I didn't say a word, just grabbed my water bottle and walked out. He hung up fast, but didn't chase after me. He knew I'd heard. That night, I called my cousin Dylan. He owns a rental house that's currently empty while he renovates. I didn't even finish explaining the whole story before he said, "It's yours. No pressure. Pay what you can." I cried again, but this time it wasn't from pain. It was relief. Since then, I've been quietly moving out, just a little at a time, while Landon is at work. Just the essentials for now, important papers, some clothes, the things that matter most. I went ahead and opened a brand new bank account, different bank, completely separate from anything Landon could access. I'm laying the groundwork to walk away clean, no strings, no surprises. Just last weekend, Landon ordered this ridiculously expensive watch online, $250, straight out of our joint account. His excuse? He said it was for work, something about needing to maintain appearances in meetings. But come on. We both knew it was just another ego boost for him, another shiny distraction in the middle of everything falling apart. The delivery was supposed to show up yesterday while I'd normally be at work, but I'd swapped shifts last minute and happened to be home when the doorbell rang. The courier handed me the package, and yeah, I signed for it. I wasn't planning to open it, but the curiosity mixed with pure spite got the best of me. And there it was. That flashy, absurdly overpriced watch. I held it in my hands and thought, maybe I'll just leave it on the table, add it to the pile of receipts and proof of his reckless spending. But then I stopped and asked myself, why should I? That money came out of our account. I didn't want to make a scene or do anything legally questionable, so I looked up the return policy for the store he ordered from. Turns out, if the item's unopened and you can prove the purchase came from a joint account, they'll take it back in person, no questions asked. Perfect. I grabbed the receipt from our online banking history and drove to the nearest store that same day. The clerk barely said a word. Scanned the box, confirmed the transaction, and just like that, the refund was processed. The money went right back into the joint account within the hour. But here's the kicker, I'd already set up alerts and had everything ready. The second that refund hit, I moved my share into my new account. Clean, quiet, efficient. He won't even notice until he goes to flex that new watch that doesn't exist anymore. Right now, Landon is actually at a real work conference, one that doesn't involve my sister. He has no idea half the house is empty. He doesn't know I've got divorce papers already drawn up. And he sure as hell isn't expecting the reality check that's waiting for him when he gets back. I'm scared, yeah. I'm angry. But more than that, I'm ready. And that counts for something. Thanks again to everyone who's been following along. I'll post another update once things move forward. Second update. It's been a month since I last checked in. A lot has happened. When I left off, I was about to walk away from my marriage while Landon was off at his work conference. I'd already moved most of my stuff to my cousin Dylan's rental house, returned that stupid watch, and had the divorce papers ready to go. Well, I did it. And the fallout? Phew. It's been a ride. The morning Landon was due to come home, I did one last walkthrough of the house. I only took what was definitely mine, plus a few sentimental items we'd picked out together that I couldn't bear to leave behind. I left all the furniture, except for my grandmother's antique reading chair. That piece has been in my family for generations, and there was no way I was leaving it. I laid the divorce papers right in the center of the kitchen table, and on top, I left a handwritten note. You were right. I don't know how to keep a man happy. But apparently, neither does my sister. Next to the note, I left my house key. And my wedding ring. Then I walked out the door. For good. That first night in my new place? It was surreal. I felt like I was watching someone else's life play out on a screen. I didn't even want to turn my phone on. I couldn't deal with the inevitable explosion when Landon got home. But eventually, the next morning, I did. I turned on my phone and was immediately hit with 27 missed calls from Landon, 12 from Amber, and 5 from my mom. His voicemails went from confused, "Hey, where are you?" "Did you go to your parents?" to furious, "What the hell is this? We need to talk right now," to panicked, "Please call me back. We can fix this. I'm sorry. I made a mistake." Amber's messages were about Landon pulling away from her, asking if I'd talk to him. She clearly had no idea I'd left or that divorce papers were now sitting on his kitchen table. My mom's texts were more neutral, just checking if I was safe after Landon apparently called them in a panic. I texted her back that I was okay, but I needed space. I didn't respond to Landon or Amber. Later that day, my lawyer emailed me. Landon had already contacted her office. She reminded me not to talk to him directly about anything to do with the divorce and to forward any messages to her. That boundary? It felt like breathing room. The next few days were a whirlwind of logistics, setting up utilities at the rental, updating my address everywhere, letting people at work know I had a new number. Landon kept blowing up my phone, then would go completely silent for hours. I logged every message, but I never responded. Then came the twist I wasn't expecting. Amber showed up at my workplace. I was heading to my car after a shift, and there she was, leaning against a lamppost, arms crossed, eyes red and puffy like she'd been crying for hours. The second she saw me, she stood up straight and rushed over. My gut told me to keep walking. Everything inside me screamed, "Don't engage." But she said my name loud enough that some coworkers turned to look. "I didn't know where else to go," she said. She didn't ask for help, not exactly. Instead, she launched into this rambling, pitiful monologue about how Landon had suddenly cut her off. How he'd promised her the world and then ghosted. How her parents were barely speaking to her. "I know you hate me," she said. "But you don't understand. He used me too." I thought he cared. It wasn't an apology. It wasn't remorse. It was her trying to paint herself as the victim. She wanted me to tell her it wasn't her fault. And as she stood there, waiting for me to crack, I felt nothing. Not anger. Not sympathy. Not even satisfaction. Just emptiness. I told her flat out I couldn't help her. If she needed someone to talk to, she could call our brother Marcus. She reached for my arm as I turned to leave, but I pulled away so fast she stumbled. I got in my car and drove off. That night, I got a text from a new number. It was her again. "He's changed. I think he still loves you. We made a mistake." I stared at that message for 20 minutes. Then I took a screenshot and sent it to Landon, no caption, nothing else. He called me right away. I let it ring. An hour later, he texted, "It wasn't like that. She's lying. I never loved her. It was just physical. Please talk to me." So I screenshotted that and sent it to Amber. Also with zero commentary. Maybe that was petty. Maybe I should have let it go. But I wanted them both to see how easily he flipped sides. I wanted them to feel just a fraction of the betrayal they handed me like it was nothing. Then, about a week later, my lawyer sent over Landon's official response to the divorce filing. He's contesting everything: property division, the grounds for divorce, even had the nerve to claim I abandoned the marital home. My lawyer assured me this was typical, just a tactic to muddy the waters early on. Nothing to panic about. What Landon didn't realize was that I had been documenting everything, and I mean everything. Every shady financial move, every sketchy text message, every photo of him with Amber, even voice recordings of him admitting what he'd done. I had witness statements, too. My lawyer was feeling confident. We had a rock-solid case lined up. 2 weeks after I moved out, I finally sat down with my parents. They looked like they hadn't slept in days. My dad hugged me and didn't let go for a long time. My mom kept wiping her eyes, trying not to completely fall apart. They told me they'd had several long talks with Amber. She was crashing at Marcus's house, but it wasn't going well. Apparently, Amber kept insisting that she and Landon were meant to be together, that they had some deep, meaningful connection, and the rest of us were just being dramatic. Marcus's wife was apparently about 5 seconds away from throwing Amber out herself. I updated my parents on the divorce stuff and told them about the place I was staying. I also told them I was okay financially and emotionally. Not totally true, but I didn't want to pile anything more on their shoulders. That's when my dad surprised me. He said they'd already talked to a family lawyer about removing Amber from their will. I told him it wasn't necessary, that she was still their daughter. But my dad was firm. He looked me in the eye and said, "Actions have consequences. We raised you both better than this." 3 weeks after I'd left, my lawyer reached out with new information. Landon had pulled $7,000 out of our joint savings account. Thankfully, I'd already transferred the majority of my share to my new account, but still, it felt like yet another betrayal. My lawyer jumped on it. She filed motions right away to freeze the rest of our shared assets and requested temporary financial orders. We had a court date scheduled for the following week, but just 2 days before, Landon's attorney reached out. Suddenly, Landon wanted to settle. No courtroom drama. No drawn-out battle. He was willing to accept my original terms for the property division, but only if I agreed not to list adultery as the reason for divorce on public record. My lawyer told me it was a strong offer, I'd get everything I asked for, and we'd avoid a messy trial. But something didn't sit right with me. Why the sudden change of heart? Why did he suddenly care so much about keeping this quiet? That same evening, I got a text from a random number, Amber, using someone else's phone. Landon's boss found out about us. He's in trouble at work. Please don't make things worse for him. And there it was. His company had strict policies around personal conduct, especially for higher-level employees like Landon. If the divorce cited infidelity, especially with details, it could absolutely affect his job. That's why he suddenly wanted to play nice. I told my lawyer I'd accept the terms, but on one condition: Landon had to cover all the legal fees. Hers and mine. His lawyer pushed back. We went back and forth a bit and eventually settled on him covering 80% of all legal costs. Fine by me. The final signing was set for the following week. Yesterday, something unexpected happened. I made it through the entire day without crying. Not once. I went to work, had lunch with a coworker, came home, made myself dinner, watched an episode of a show, and went to bed. Just regular, boring stuff. But it felt like a huge win. This morning, I woke up to 15 missed calls from that same number Amber had used. I didn't check the voicemails. I didn't want to hear more excuses, more spin, more manipulation. Later, I was at the grocery store, walking down the cereal aisle, when my phone buzzed with an email. It was from Landon Company, not HR, but their legal department. Apparently, Landon told them I was spreading rumors about him at work, accusing him of cheating, trying to damage his reputation. The email was worded like a routine fact check. They said they were conducting an internal review and needed to verify whether certain allegations were true. I stood there, frozen in front of the frosted flakes, reading that message over and over. I must have looked so stunned that an employee actually asked if I was okay. When I got home, I forwarded the email to my lawyer immediately. She called me 10 minutes later. We agreed to respond formally, but carefully. We drafted a short, professional reply confirming that I had, in fact, filed for divorce on the grounds of infidelity, based on documented evidence. We emphasized that I had not shared any personal information about Landon at his workplace. Just the facts. We even attached a redacted copy of the spa receipt to make the point crystal clear. We sent it off, and about an hour later got the usual, out-of-office response. So now, we wait. That evening, my brother Marcus called to check in. He mentioned that Amber finally moved out of their place yesterday. No idea where she's staying now, some friend's house, he guessed, but he didn't know which one. He said she left the guest room in complete disarray. Stained sheets, makeup all over the bathroom counter, and a small burn on the carpet from a hair straightener. Just a trail of chaos, like always. While we were talking, I got a notification. Landon had posted on Instagram for the first time in weeks. It was a photo of a whiskey glass and some dramatic quote about weathering the storm and rediscovering yourself. I almost laughed out loud. 6 weeks ago, that post would have gutted me. Now? It just seemed pathetic. This is the same man who laughed in my face while I cried. Who stole the birthday money my grandma gave me to take my sister to a resort. Who told me I didn't deserve a gift. Now he's posting sad boy quotes like he's the victim. I'm still living at Dylan's rental for now, but I've started looking around for my own place. I've been browsing Facebook Marketplace for second-hand furniture, and I even signed up for one of those meal kit delivery services so I don't end up living off fries and pizza forever. Tomorrow, I'm meeting with my lawyer to review the final settlement paperwork before Landon signs next week. She says we've dotted every I and crossed every T, but wants to double-check, make sure there aren't any hidden debts or leftover assets we've missed. I know the journey isn't over. Divorce doesn't wrap up overnight. But what I do know is that Landon and Amber wanted to play adult games, and now they're both dealing with adult consequences. And honestly, that feels like justice. Final update. I've had so many people message me, asking for an update. I said I'd post a final one once things were settled, and here it is. The divorce was finalized last month. Landon finally stopped fighting it after his company began their internal investigation. He saw the writing on the wall. In the end, the asset division stuck pretty close to what I proposed from the start. I kept my retirement accounts and all my personal belongings. He kept the house, but had to refinance it in his name alone and pay me out my share of the equity. We split what was left in our joint savings, minus the $7,000 he had withdrawn. And as agreed, he covered 80% of all legal fees. It wasn't cheap. It wasn't easy, but it was fair. The most unexpected part came on the very last day at the courthouse, just after we finalized everything. Landon had his lawyer ask mine if I'd be willing to talk to him for 5 minutes. My attorney didn't love the idea. She warned me not to do it. But I was curious. I wanted to know what he could possibly say at this point. So I said yes, as long as we stayed in the courthouse and within sight of security. He started by saying he wasn't trying to win me back. He just needed me to know, really know, that he understood how badly he screwed everything up. He asked if maybe someday we could be on speaking terms again. I told him probably not. But I said I wished him well. That part wasn't entirely honest. I don't exactly wish him harm, but I sure don't wish him happiness either. I just want him out of my life, firmly in the rear view. No more detours. No more reappearances. Now, when it comes to Amber, that's a Messier subject. After Marcus kicked her out, she couch-surfed for a while, bouncing between friends' places until, surprise, surprise, they all got tired of her drama. According to my mom, Amber would stay up late drinking wine and crying about how unfair life was, but she never made any effort to actually fix it. A few months ago, she ended up back at our parents' house. Mom says it's been tense, and that's putting it mildly. Dad barely acknowledges her, and Mom's stuck in this awkward role of referee, trying to keep the peace in a house that's more emotionally radioactive than stable. Amber eventually found a job at some call center. She's supposedly saving up for her own place, but it's slow going. Hard to save when half your paycheck goes towards Sephora hauls and endless Uber Eats orders. She and I haven't spoken directly since that scene in the parking lot outside my job. She's tried over and over, texting me from every number she can get her hands on. I've blocked every single one. The tone of her messages has shifted over time. They started out defensive, "You don't understand what Landon and I had," then swung to desperate, "Please talk to me. I miss my sister." Lately, it's been more resigned, "I know you'll probably hate me forever." I haven't replied to any of them. Extended family knows something went down between us, but most haven't pushed for details. My grandma, the same one who sent the birthday money Landon stole, cornered me at Christmas and told me, gently, that forgiveness heals the one who gives it more than the one who receives it. I smiled, nodded, and changed the subject. I love my grandma, but she doesn't understand. Some wounds don't close with a hug and a prayer. Some betrayals carve too deep. As for me, I'm doing okay. Actually, better than okay sometimes. I found my own apartment 2 months ago, a cozy little one-bedroom with big windows and a tiny balcony that gets the perfect morning light. Last week, I went on a third date with a guy I met through a mutual friend. He's a radiologist at the children's hospital across town. He knows the broad strokes of my story and, miraculously, hasn't bolted. We're taking things slow. Really slow. But it's nice to be reminded that not all men are garbage fires in disguise. The most surprising part of this whole disaster? The way my relationship with Marcus has changed. We were never that close growing up, 5 years apart, completely different interests, but during all this, he's become my biggest supporter. When Amber tried to paint herself as the wounded party at a family dinner I didn't attend, Marcus apparently shut her down so hard she left the table in tears. Now he calls me every week just to check in, and his wife? She's basically filled the sister role that Amber threw away. A few weeks ago, I ran into Landon at Target. Just one of those weird, small world moments. I nodded politely and kept walking. When I got to checkout, the cashier told me someone had already paid for my cart. I didn't even have to ask, I knew it was him. So I took that exact amount, $74 and some change, and donated it to a women's shelter that afternoon. I didn't want a single thing from him. Not a gift. Not closure. Not even kindness. That money from the watch I returned? I used it to book myself a solo trip to Costa Rica for my 30th birthday next month. I'm staying in a little beachfront cabin, planning to take yoga classes, read on the sand, maybe even try ziplining if I feel brave. Just me, the ocean, and peace. I deleted my old Instagram, too many painful reminders of a life that doesn't exist anymore, and started a new private one, just for close friends. I've been teaching myself how to cook real meals instead of relying on frozen dinners and sad takeout. It's a small thing, but it feels like reclaiming something. Will Amber and I ever speak again? I don't know. Some days, I think the sister I loved died the moment she betrayed me. Other days, I remember the little girl who used to sneak into my room and beg to borrow my clothes, and I wonder if some tiny piece of that bond is still buried under all the pain. Maybe time will tell. But I'm not in any rush to find out. Right now, I'm just focused on rebuilding. On breathing. On living for myself again. And for the first time in a long time, that feels like enough.